I'm an addict. I'm grateful to be clean, and grateful to be in Ripley. I was trying to think when I first met Sharon, and it was when I came home from treatment. I was scared. I was nervous. I didn't know anybody in Bluefield who didn't use, and they had taken me to these meetings in treatment, and all I really could remember was that they always wanted to hug me. And they also told me in treatment that if I wanted to stay clean, I needed to go to a meeting as soon as I got home. So I took a suggestion, and I went to a meeting in Bluefield. I was nervous. I was like, I don't know about this. I don't know. And I turned the corner to walk down the steps, and there was this lady standing there, and she said, "Hug me!" And I was like, oh, God. Oh, no, they're here too. But I hugged her. And Sharon was my first hug in NA. And she was the first person who made me feel welcome. And, the moral of the story is be nice to the newcomer because they might be your sponsor one day.
True story.
I'm blessed to have Sharon as a sponsee. She was the first sponsee I worked all the steps with, so that was an accomplishment, I felt like. But, sponsorship for me is really a two-way street. I get more out of it than I could ever give them, I feel like. And I'm grateful that she's in my life today. We've become more like family. That's what we do in here. We save each other's ass on a daily basis and become family. So with that, I give you Beverly.
Hi, everybody. I'm Beverly. I think she did this shit so she wouldn't have to share so long. I think that was 20 minutes each. All I want to say is that it is a real blessing to have my baby sister in recovery with me. We have been here together almost the whole time. And it's been a hell of a journey, and I'm so grateful to be able to share it with her. We shared a lot of our using together, so it's just really wonderful that we share recovery together as well. And with that, I give you my baby sister, Sharon F. Holy shit. I'm Sharon and I'm an addict. And I'm going to take a moment of silence to try to get my head out of my ass and invite God in. So. Okay. Now, I ran from this commitment for years. I was never going to speak at Ripley. I always felt like my disease always told me I wasn't a good enough speaker to speak at Ripley. And here I stand. This is my 41st convention, straight convention. I came the first time October of 1995 and went in the assembly hall, and Greg P. was speaking, and I was overwhelmed. I really, really felt like I was at home, although I was scared shitless because I didn't know anybody here but my sister. Somebody just took my picture. It was my grand sponsor, as a matter of fact. Anyway, so I've been coming back ever since, and my heart is here. I really do have a passion for this convention and for what happens here. I don't know. I just have so much gratitude, and I was clean before for 10 years, and I was on the committee for a long time, and it was because I didn't want to do a speaker resume. But I also hid behind that service, and I wasn't working on me, and ended up going back out. So, but I've been back for a while. So, anyway, what got me here was I started getting high. No way. Just screwed up everything. I am the baby of 6 kids. My dad was an alcoholic, and my mother was codependent from hell. And she worked really, really hard trying to raise 6 kids. And I have to say that I was treated different because I was the baby by my daddy. Not necessarily my mother, but my daddy. And the lot that happened in my childhood was hidden from me. I got shipped outside or across the street to my grandmother's, and although now I really knew what was going on, but so it was there was one time I was getting ready to go to school. I was in junior high school. That was back when we had a junior high school. And my dad got a shotgun off the wall. And I asked him what he was doing. He said, "I'm going to shoot your mother." So I fought the gun away from him, and I went to school with that shotgun shell in my pocket. God. So anyway, when I was 18 years old, I used the first time when I was 11 with my sister. My sister was using and having a good time, and she had a baby sister that liked to tell on her. So as long as I was doing it with her, I couldn't tell on her. So. And I remember that first time of doing that first drug, I didn't feel it, and I acted like I did. I had that join in, and then that changed eventually. But, it was a long time before I crossed that line that I couldn't stop using. But every time I drank, it was totally to get drunk. It was never because I enjoyed the taste of beer. If it was put up to my lips, it was to get wasted. And I wanted to prove that I could drink more than anybody else. That's a normal thing a kid will do, right? So anyway, I partied all through school. I would pass out in class in junior high school. They'd wake me up to go to the next class, which I look at that now as like really screwed up. Somebody should have reported me somewhere. But in high school, you could see the progression of me using and whatever with my grades and the classes I was in. And when I got to my senior year, it's like, okay, it's now or never. You either do something now or this is your last chance. So I didn't get high any in my senior year. I made the B honor roll 4 times. I really enjoyed the classes I was taking, and I graduated high school. So then I decided I was going to take a year off from school, which is such bullshit because I never intended on going to college. But I was telling everybody I'm taking a year off from school. And in that time, the using picked up again. I did go back to school. The first semester of college, I took accounting. I loved it then. I don't know what I was thinking now, but I loved it then. First semester, I made the dean's list. Second semester, not so much. Third semester, I got a guaranteed student loan and quit. And I was off and running. Me and my older sister used a lot together, and we went to jail together, we went to treatment together. We were really together in this stuff, We would crawl in bed together in treatment, and they said we had a really unusual relationship. Well, she was my older sister. What was I supposed to do, So anyway, in '83, we got caught shoplifting, and because that was my way of getting stuff, and so we went to jail. That was not fun. That was like 6 hours. At the time, it was like 6 years. I thought I was going to die in there. Anyway, so we got out of jail, and decided to go to treatment to keep from going back to jail for very long. So we went to treatment at Huntington State Hospital. And I have come to learn now that it doesn't matter if you go to Huntington State Hospital or the Betty Ford Clinic. If the surrender's not there, you're not going to stay clean. So anyway, we went through the treatment, and I remember getting out. I got out of treatment July 17th, 1983, and I've never felt so free. And family came and picked us up. My niece was, I'm not sure how old then, like 8. Me and her went running across the field together. I really felt free. Friday, I was getting high again. because, I wasn't done yet. So let me back up a little bit. In 1980, my sister and brother-in-law lost their 2 kids in a fire. Beverly. And my entire family changed that day. We all changed. And we all handled it in different ways. And, I look at it now, I don't know really that I ever really dealt with it. Right now, it just feels like it was another life. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it, but her baby, Aaron, was born on my 18th birthday. My niece, Becky, that's here, was born on my 13th birthday. I had really good birthday presents. Anyway, so we changed that day, and we went to jail, went to treatment, started getting high again, and was doing whatever I could do to get high. Shoplifting was my big MO of getting anything, or doctor shopping. Statute of limitations ran out on that, I can say that. But anyway, so I really felt hopeless for a really long time. In 1985, I went to school at West Virginia Vocational Rehabilitation, and I took accounting again. Go figure. I forgot about that. That's where I met my husband-to-be. It was a vocational rehab, still the same. He was an addict, but he was there for hearing loss. So that made it different, So yeah, we, and that was sick from the word go. I don't know that I've ever really had a healthy romantic relationship like that. So anyway, I finished school. Of course, every class he didn't finish, it was my fault because I didn't, But anyway, so we got married in 86 and divorced in 87. And in 89, I gave birth to my son, who this is hard for me to admit, I'm not a person that I really feel like I was born to be a mother. But I'm really, really grateful that God saw fit for that to happen. But I couldn't quit using the whole time I was pregnant. Could not. I would cry. I would try to just do enough to not hurt that day. Some days I would succeed at that. Some days I'd just die. But I would beat myself up all the time. And so anyway, he was born healthy. Not my doing. I went home. He was in his bassinet. I was snorting pills and crying like a baby. What kind of life was he going to have? I couldn't stop using. I remember before that, I went to church one day, and for some reason, every time I went to church, I felt drawn to the damn altar. Like pulled up there. But that day, I really wanted something different, and I was willing to try that, and so I did that. And I went home, and I sat down on my bed and bawled like a baby because I didn't know how to get off the dope. I didn't know what to do with the dope. So anyway, I had my boy. It takes a village to raise a kid. Thank God I had that village, or probably CPS would have took over. My mom and dad was there taking care of him. My sister was there taking care of him. Becky was his designated father. So I'm really grateful for that, because I would be one of those statistics that their children were taken away from them. I remember one time I took him to the dope man's house with me, but I left him in the car because it was safer sitting in the middle of the street by himself in a car. I locked the car up. I went in. I came back out, and I had a bottle of pills in my pocketbook, and I saw that it was different. And he had took the pills out of the bottle and put them in his mouth and put them back in the bottle because they were wet. So that could have really been bad. But I wasn't taking him into the dope man's house, so that was okay. It's just little shit like that I look at all the things that could have happened when I was using, and thank God they didn't. I know that my higher power was with me the entire time. So, in 1993, my husband, who I had divorced, we were in the process of getting back together. He had started drinking again. He went to rehab. He got out. We were talking on the phone. And I got a call one morning that he had died. And I was getting ready to go to the doctor because that's what I did on Monday morning. You got to go to the doctor and get your prescription. Well, I used the hell out of that. You know, I went to the doctor. I probably got doubled the prescription because I was crying. My husband had just died, you know, and I was good at manipulating stuff like that. So anyway, in 1994, the end of 94, me and my sister used together a whole lot. Of course, I was always the victim in all of it. You know, I was always the victim. And I would manipulate you into believing that every damn time. So anyway, in the end of 94, her ass went to detox. I was like, now what? And she had like done all my aunt's pills that I was trying to get that day. And so she disappears for the whole day. And I'm thinking, okay, she's coming back out soon. She's gonna come back out soon. She didn't. And I kept waiting for her to check herself out so we could go get high again. It didn't happen. So anyway, so she went to treatment, and she came. I went and picked her up from treatment in the middle of the night. That's a long story, but it was a nice trip we had. Rehab romance. So anyway, so she started going. I had a friend that I'd known in high school that was going to Narcotics Anonymous, and I had run into him while she was in detox. Of course, I wasn't talking about my drug use, but she was in detox. So he gave me a meeting schedule. And so I gave that to her. Anyway, so she was going to meetings, and then when I'd go visit her, I kept seeing pamphlets laying around the house. I was like, are you fucking doing this on purpose? Are you putting this stuff out here so I'll see it to make me feel guilty? Yeah, she was. She was. So in July, I think it was, I decided I was going to get clean. Now, no surrender behind that. So I started going to meetings, and I said I was clean, and I got really sick, and I went to the doctor, and they gave me a prescription, which I really wasn't expecting that time. And it was a prescription for narcotic cough medicine that when I come out to the car, she says, oh, you got to tear that shit up. Okay, so I tore it up, put it in my wallet, went home, got in the car, and went back to the doctor and said, my sister made me tear this up. Can you write me another prescription? So I took that to the pharmacy with the full intention of getting half filled and being done. I got half filled the first day. The next morning, 9 o'clock, I was there getting the rest of it, and for another month, I was using it again and lying about it. One time, I got caught at the dope man's house, so what I did was I put some of the pills I had bought in her hand to throw away because, I got them, but I'm not really going to do them. Now, I would never in my right mind put my sister's recovery in danger. I wasn't in my right mind. I was in my using mind. So anyway, August 20th, 1995, I was laying on my bed, and I was watching When a Man Loves a Woman. And there's a part in it where the woman falls out of the shower, and her little girl goes in there, and she don't know if she's living or dead. And at that moment, I knew I didn't want to live that way anymore. I didn't want to take the chance on Andrew coming and finding me dead, you know? So August 20th, 1995, I got clean. And I stayed clean for 10 years. And I did that by going to meetings and working steps. Now, when I first got clean, my sister was the only woman in recovery at the house, and she wasn't going to be my sponsor. Bad idea. So anyway, I had a guy that sponsored me, and that was before the Step Working Guide, and he did it old school, and we did it like another fellowship does it, and but it worked. At the time, it worked. It was all I had. So he introduced us to service. I keep saying us because we were together and all this. He introduced me to service, and we came up here the first time. And who knew that day in October 1995 how my life would be changed, you know? There's people that come here that talk about it being a money racket or they don't get anything out of it or whatever. I cannot imagine that. I cannot imagine not coming up here and getting what I get. So anyway, so I stayed clean for a long time. And like in 2002, my dad got cancer. And that really sucked. And I was his caretaker. And he had to be on some pretty big narcotics. And I had like hospice that was helping me, you know, stay accountable for it. I also had a lot of using addicts in my family that I had to fight tooth and nail to keep out of his medicine. But anyway, so I took care of him until he died. And I did that clean. I did that because we did that. You know, I came into meetings and shared about that stuff. That's the only way I know to stay clean, is y'all got to hear my shit. You have to know what's going on with me, or I'm never going to be able to get through it. So my dad died. I was living with my mom again, and she got dementia, and that was quite the struggle sometimes. And there's a lot of things I wish I had done with her, but I can't back up and redo them. But anyway, so in 2005, I guess, is when I relapsed. I made the conscious decision to get up out of my bed, walk downstairs, and get in my mother's pain pills and take some that day. And that came behind stopping going to meetings. I don't guess I even had a sponsor anymore. If I had one, I wasn't using them. I wasn't working any steps. I was talking long and hard about it. You know, I need to be doing this, and I need to be doing that, and I should be working this, and I should be working that. And I shoulded myself right into getting high. And then for my clean date now is July 14th, 2009. And the time in between when I got high in 2005 and 2009 is a fog to me. Like, I mean, I had like a year clean in there somewhere, I think. I got some serious health issues. I thought it was going to kill me. And that's some scary shit when that happens. And then in 2007, in January, my older sister Donna, who helped raise me, so she was more like my mother, and she had struggled with addiction for a long time. She had been using, I would find her shit and flush it, trying to save her from herself. And she got really pissed off at me too when I do that. I can't really believe she was still even talking to me, because I threw her shit away. I just did. And in January 2007, she died. And she was at my brother's house. She'd went down there to visit him. And another family member a few months before that had OD'd and quit breathing, and no pulse, no nothing. And rescue squad came, gave him Narcan, and brought him back. So when they called about Donna, I was waiting on that Narcan story, you know, and never got it. So she died as a direct result of this disease. And that was one of the most painful things I've ever been through. In August of 2007, my mother died. And 2 weeks to the day later, my brother died. And my brother was where my sister Donna was visiting him when she died. So 2007 was not a very good year. So anyway, I was using on and off, couldn't stay clean. Just, I don't know. Like I said, it's really just a fog to me because of all that. But Patty G, I know some people here remember her. She was my sponsor at one time, but she would call me when I was using. At least once a month, she'd call. And I'd answer the phone, and I would answer the phone with her for some reason, because, you know, most of the time she's in, and I wasn't going to talk to you when I was getting high. But she would just call to say, I love you, and I'm thinking about you. And she would do that about once a month. And she taught me
how to do unconditional love. She taught me random acts of kindness. You know, she taught me a whole lot of things, and she was really, really loved. And in May 2008, on the Friday of the spring convention, Patty G died of cancer, love cancer. I said she died on the day of the first day of the convention so we could all be here and love each other through it, and I really believe that. So anyway, in this time, my mom had died. I'm living in a house. I don't pay bills very good. I still don't pay bills very good, but I'm working on that now. So I'm living in a house. I'm getting high. I'm living in a house that doesn't have running water. There's no heat. There's internet and TV because you can't live without cable. And I couldn't work without the internet, so I had to have that. And lights, you can't do anything. So, and I was making that okay in my head, you know, that I could, how do you live like that? But I was making that okay. So anyway, so I had asked my niece, I don't know if I've ever told my sister this. I had asked my niece to lie for me. Maddie, some of y'all know Maddie, that we went somewhere. Don't tell Sissy that we went there. And she called me out in the street and was saying, I cannot believe you fucking asked Maddie to lie. And it was just like, at that moment, it was like, oh, God, okay. So then the next day, the next morning, I got up and I, again, was at that, I don't want to live like this anymore, but I was scared to death. And I had seen somebody at a meeting a few times, and I kept saying, I'm going to call you one day. I'm going to call you one day. You know, a lot of times if I'd see somebody from NA, like in Walmart, my ass was in the other corner of the store real quick because I don't want to talk that shit. So anyway, I brought up their number online, and for like 3 hours I contemplated. I was a nervous wreck. I didn't have any dope, no way to get any more dope that I could come up with in my head. And so I picked up the phone, and for the first time, again, I got honest, and that's when I called Lori. She's my grand sponsor now. And because I wanted to do something different, and I knew I could. I knew where to find it, you know. I had had hope. I had found freedom right here in Narcotics Anonymous. And so I was trying to get into detox somewhere, and I just every day I kept calling. Well, by the time that probably they had a bed, I was through detox. But so I got clean in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, and that shit's hard. The older you get, the harder it gets too. So keep that in mind, y'all. So anyway, so I got clean again, and then I'm pretty sure it was pretty quick that I asked Janet to be my sponsor. Yeah, and that's really true about the newcomer, you know, because I'm really glad I didn't treat her like shit when she walked down the steps and I offered a hug. She might make my life miserable today. So anyway, so I got clean again, and well, here I am living in this house like shit. And Thelma, my sister-in-law, who was Donna's partner, she was living in Bedford, Virginia, and offered me a place to stay. Well, I wasn't real keen on moving, you know, but what else was I going to do? So me and my dogs, lots of them, went to Bedford to live. And so my home group is the best home group in the world, and it's the Welcome Home Group in Bluefield, West Virginia. And we are represented. But I go down to Bedford and I have to get a new home group. Well, I had always been clean in Bluefield, you know. And so I kept going, and I kept putting myself a part of it. I kept putting myself in the middle of it until one day I felt like I belonged there. And I made a lot of really good friends, and there was some really good recovery down there. And things happened that I was able to move back home, back into my house, the house then had running water and stuff like that. So I got to move back to Bluefield. Well, so I was like back in the Welcome Home group, feeling pretty lost. I needed to go back to Together We Care group. That was in Bedford. It was just like, because I got clean down there, I had built my recovery up down there, and here I was back out of it again, you know. So it probably took me a year to feel like I belonged again in Welcome Home Group. But I kept coming back because I know I have to do this. I am really working the steps this time. I'm not really talking long. Now, I'm slow at working the steps, but I'm working them. And I'm also living them. You know, I can write all I want to down on paper, but until I move it from my head to my heart, it's not going to be worth a shit. I'm going back. I just finished my second step for the second time in recovery, and really doing this, you know. And I know that I have to. I don't call my sponsor as often as I need to either, but you know, she's there when I need her, you know. And so I do work the steps, and I live the steps, and I open meetings. And last year, my sponsor. So I've been in the convention committee again this time, clean, a lot. But I have a passion for it. I love it here. And my sponsor suggested last year that I take a year off from having a office, a position. Well, I have to tell y'all, you know, I'm pretty good at following her direction and her suggestions. That was the hardest one I've ever followed. But I know if I'm going to trust her to be my sponsor and love me through this stuff, I got to trust what she says. You know, I don't know everything. I just think I do sometimes. So, like, we were taking nominations at the subcommittee, and I'm writing down all these people's names. I'm like, my name needs to go on here. And it didn't, and I had freedom. I felt a lot of freedom behind that. And then I got handed the speaker resume. And I've always felt like I'm not convention speaker material. I still don't know if I am. But, so I'm up here this time. I've figured out after the last convention that, again, I was hiding in plain sight. I don't know, it just hit me that how many times did I walk across the field by myself? And I was by myself a lot, busy, going from one place to another. And that was hiding in plain sight. So the best thing in the world that happened was I took the year off from service. Even though it's still hard to say that. But I know that when I come here, there are so many people here that I truly, dearly love, you know, that I look forward to that twice a year. And there's one guy from Delaware that wasn't here at the last convention. I haven't seen him here, and I don't know how to get a hold of him. That's the bad part about this. But I know that if I come up here, I can get and give lots of hugs. I can get and give lots of love. I can hug that newcomer that looks really scared like I did in October of 1995. You know, I can share my recovery with somebody else. And, you know, I like to think about this when I'm around big crowds. Is if you think about what would the world be like if we were all out there using? Just the people right here in this room. We would be wreaking some havoc. So we're giving the world a real break by being in here tonight. And, you know, I mean, that's just miracles because I can't stay clean by myself. I have to come in here to you all. I have to let you all love me through this stuff. Last December, I had a hip replacement. And that shit hurts. I just tell you, that shit hurts. And the only way I got through that clean was because I shared about it all the time. I mean, like I went every day. Every time I'd go to a meeting, I'd share about it. Because, I mean, I had to take pain medicine, and that activates my disease, and it's screaming at me, and it's telling me I'm a piece of shit. And so I tell on it, and it loses its power over me. And I came out of that clean. We came out of that clean. And I know that. I know that I can't do any of this stuff by myself. And when I let the ego take over, then my disease takes over right behind that. So, I don't know. I think God's leaving. I don't have a clue how long I've talked, but I'm really grateful that everybody's here. And everybody, if you just hug one person this weekend that you don't know, what a difference that might make in somebody's life, you know. I know that this is the only program that works for me, the only program that I need. One disease, one program. And sometimes I get really passionate about that and pissed off. But that's my shit that I got to work through, you know. But I love Narcotics Anonymous. I absolutely have such a passion for it. And it is my whole life. You know, everything I do, I don't care who you are. You don't have to be an addict. If I'm talking to you, you're going to hear something recovery, you know. And because that's who I am. That's my life. That's what I do. We have family functions, and probably over half of those family functions is filled with NA members. You know, so because that's family. I mean, I have like blood family, and chosen family in here, you know. One more thing I want to share. There's this guy that comes to meetings in Bluefield, and he shared one time about, I'll cry over this one, he shared one time about losing his mother. When he was younger, she got murdered, she got shot, and how hard it was growing up without a mother. And after the meeting, I told him, I said, I can never take your mama's place, but I'll always be here for you if you need a mama. From that day on, he's called me Mama. And now, I am blessed to be the Nana to Hayden. He'll be 2 in January. That is an absolute gift of Narcotics Anonymous. Absolute gift. My kid, Andrew's not really interested in having a kid yet. I can't talk him into it no matter what I do. So I told him he has a break now. I got Hayden, you know, but I'm telling you, this child, Saturday is our day. We're together on Saturdays. Tomorrow I'm missing. And this is somebody who never felt like she was born to be a mother, you know. And now I can be a Nana, and that's just huge for me. I have a love for him that I didn't know I was capable of, you know. And like I said, that's an absolute gift of Narcotics Anonymous. But anyway, I'm so grateful that this is over. I kept saying, like, I haven't been saying, conventions this weekend, yes! No Facebook posts, none of that. Like, oh shit. So I just knew that once I got past this, I'll be, yay, convention. But I'm so grateful that I was given this opportunity to do this, even though I didn't feel worthy or capable. And I'm just really grateful. Anyway, I love you guys so very much, and I will hug everybody if you'll come up to me.